Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
Get him, Jay! What you gonna do? Yes, you do, Bucks. You do have to be quicker than that. Well, this is the post-Atlanta Falcons Monday Night Showdown, welcoming John Gruden to the Ring of Honor. Man, did we show out for him. I mean, players were laying their lives on the line, getting injured, taking themselves out the game. It was an awesome game. No, all joking aside, that was a hell of a game. And I honestly have no idea if Atlanta thought if this was like a trap game to them or what. But Jameis played great. I mean, aside from clocking the ball twice, two very ticky-tacky offensive pass interference on Mike Evans, Jameis put through almost a near perfect game. The running game did pretty good. I mean, you can't ask for much better when you pretty much have one starter on your offensive line almost the whole game. Backups everywhere. Guys played their ass off. This is the type of fight that you want to see from the starters week in and week out. I'm not taking anything away from them, but this is a really good game. Losing it at the very end, Pat Murray, I felt so bad for him because he's been making all these kicks every year. He's such a confident guy. It was just very unfortunate. I was very tired at work the next day. Usually I try to watch some games at least till halftime. Usually we're losing by then when we're playing in prime time, so it's easy to go to bed. But yeah. This was a game. This was a game where I was expecting a slaughter. I really was. I mean, if you look at the roster on paper and who we had coming in to play like that, I was just as shocked as everybody. Now I thought it was going to get a little out of hand. 17-7. We're down by 10 at halftime. I figured that was going to be the time when we, really messed the bed on that one, for a lack of a better word. But I just want to start by a couple things that I noticed during this game. I was taking notes during the game. I was just trying to, do some work for the podcast and be a fan. So it was a little bit hard, but I was writing things down on my phone. And I noticed that the Bucs they have too much faith in Ryan Smith, leaving him by himself on the outside with anybody, especially bringing the house. And half the time the pressure is getting there, but he can't keep up with no one in coverage. Either he's slipping or he's behind him. I'm sorry, Brent Grimes, no matter how old he is, I hope he doesn't leave this team. Because even if Vernon Hargreaves does come back, it's not going to be good. If Vernon Hargreaves does leave, they can either put Robert McClain or Ryan Smith on the outside, and Vernon Hargreaves is a liability himself most games. He's not lived up to his first-round talent. I don't care what anybody says. He has his games here and there. Sure, he's better than somebody off the street, but that doesn't matter. Doug Martin being a healthy scratch, and then you find out that it was a violation of team rules. I'm still waiting to find out what it was. Still to this day, this is Wednesday, and we still have no idea what that was. But I think he played his last down in Tampa in the Detroit game, which I didn't get to make a podcast on that. By the time I had to do it, everybody already had their podcast out and everybody already did their thing. I was like, I'm not wasting my time with that. Work's been crazy. But yep, Peyton Barber looks like he is the guy going forwards. And I'm hoping to give him a chance. This offseason is going to be very interesting. Obviously, we're gonna go probably almost all defense this draft. Some people say, Jason Light likes to double down. I think he needs to triple down. I think we needed to go defensive end first round, defensive tackle second round, cornerback third round, and then keep going defensive line. Just keep get somebody in here. There's plenty of productive third, fourth round defensive ends. However you got to do it, defensive tackles. Just get somebody in here. The linebacking core is solid. Quan Alexander hasn't had his best year, but neither any of our linebackers have been healthy. Quan missed quite a few games. David missed games. Beckwith's been solid. He has been solid. Not so much in coverage, but in run defense he has been. Justin Evans, to me, I'm really starting to to grow on him. Whenever we picked him, in the second round, I was for sure we were going defensive tackle or defensive end. Somebody, I had no idea that it was going to come to that. But he's really starting to grow on me. If he can get just a tad bit better in coverage, this dude is a heat-seeking missile. He loves contact. He's always around the ball, it seems like. If he can just refine his game a little bit, he's going to be great for us. It's a great find by Jason Light. Everybody was scratching their heads, but that's why the hashtag Follow the Light was invented. Couple of things. Listen, my phone keeps dying out. Let me open this up real quick. I should have done the podcast at night, but it was pretty much 12 o'clock, and I had to be to work at 5. So I wanted to do it while I was still fresh, but it looks like I'm just going to have to do this. Yeah, back to Peyton Barber. He wasn't going down on first contact. He was looking like Doug Martin was looking. He looked great. First, second effort, he's making guys miss. He's keeping his feet forwards, and honestly, fumbling. What was he on, like the 6-7 yard line? When he fumbled right there, I still had confidence to keep him in the game. Doug Martin usually gets benched at that point. You know what I mean? I still had confidence to keep him in the game. He's earned it. He has Doug Martin's wore out his welcome. He got the fat contract, and then of course he was injured, and then he gets suspended, and I didn't want him to give him the second contract, to be honest with you. I knew that even in free agency I think there was like Lamar Miller and a few other people. Even in free agency, it wasn't looking good. And the draft, you could have got a decent running back, but the Bucs are a decent organization. Dirk Cutter probably wanted him back, and he burned us. A lot of the stuff is out of his control, and some of it is. But you can't honestly watch the same games that I'm watching. I don't care how much you analyze, how much you break down game tape. I watch game tape too. I'm no expert. Doug Martin just does not run like the old Doug Martin. He doesn't. Usually, if he runs into the back of a lineman, he's trying to find a different hole. Like, no, don't get me wrong. He's not doing that the whole game. Sometimes he'll break it out and he'll try to find. That's what made Doug. That's what makes special running backs special. Is that trait to, okay, the play breaks down. I got to get out of the pocket. Not out of the pocket. I got to get out from behind my lineman, and he wasn't doing that. But yeah, Peyton Barber has very, very good. Let's see what else I got here. I wrote down a few other things. Oh yeah, I wrote down backup offensive linemen, backup linebackers, backup cornerbacks, backup tight ends. Team's showing a lot of heart. Alan Cross comes in. Jameis throws a ball I thought was for sure just like another one of stupid Jameis balls, but the linebacker wasn't looking, and Alan Cross made a hell of a play. Let's see. Oh, this is what I wanted to bring up. I made a note of this because I remember watching Jameis's press conference, and I get it. You're going to stick up for your coach. You're going to stick up for your team. You're going to stick up for your guys. You talk about being predictable, which everybody knows it is. Anonymous scouts said that Dirk Cutter's offense was the easiest one they faced. Of course, Jameis, if they know you're running power and you beat them running power, it's because it's man on man, and they're basically taking out your will. But predictable means you can snap the ball and a certain player goes a certain way and the DB reads that, you're already at a disadvantage no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you execute the play. If the DB knows what you're doing, he's going to be there before you even get the ball to your wide receiver. And what I mean by this is everybody and their mother knows when Charles Sims is outside, it's going to be a screen pass to him. And everyone can see it. Everyone, like the announcer sees it. I see it. People on Twitter are saying it as I'm typing it. That's what I mean with being predictable. Now, Dirk, I'm not going to lie. The Detroit game and this game, he's gotten creative with the play calling because a lot of the stuff that he's been doing has been predictable. And this is how I know that Dirk knows that everyone's got him on notice. He was doing the little fake wide receiver screens. The DB or the wide receivers would go out and they would already act like they're about to block. Mike would turn around and catch the ball, but it would actually be somebody else on the other side of the field going up the field, and that's where we're going to get our big chunk plays from. Using your predictability, pretty much turning it around on the defense. Okay, this is what you watched on film. This is what I'm going to do, to fool you. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be the same thing week in and week out. I mean, you're not going to change your playbook top to bottom, But, I mean, you shouldn't go in with the same game plan. I can almost name, on the top of my hand, 5 plays that we're going to run almost every drive. And that's bad because I'm not even getting paid to do it. I'm just a fan watching the game. You know what I mean? And another thing, I'm happy we got back to throwing Mike Evans the ball. I mean, I understand we need to get Deshaun Jackson touches. We do. We have to. Now, Deshaun Jackson isn't going to put his best effort into coming back for the ball. We've seen that in the Detroit game. To me, Chris Godwin puts in more effort than Deshaun Jackson does. Even if the ball's not on the money, he's not going to go for it. Like, I don't know. I think it was last week. Jameis threw the ball and Deshaun was running a post. The ball looked like it was maybe a little bit inside. And also Jameis was about to get clotheslined by a defensive end. He lobbed the ball up, and Deshaun just completely gave up on it. Instead of okay, I'm running a straight line and the ball needs to be right in front of me. No, just go over a little bit, and then on the comeback, whenever Darius Slay intercepted it, that's a rookie wide receiver move. Like, your quarterback's running, scrambling to the right. You're running. It looks like a deep hitch or whatever. I'm not even sure what he was doing. I can't remember off the top of my head now. But I know he was running out coming in. I'm not sure if that was part of the play or if he was improvising. But when Jameis threw that ball, Deshaun Jackson didn't even try to go for that ball. Darius Slay just stepped right in front. It was the easiest interception you could probably get. But Mike Evans needs to get the ball more. I understand Deshaun's a playmaker, blah, blah, blah. We're getting away from who got us where we are. Half of Jameis's yards came, or 1/4 of Jameis's yardage the last 2 or 3 years just came from Mike Evans. You need to get him the ball more. See, whenever he threw that long play-action touchdown, and it was a 50-50 ball, guess who came down with it? Mike Evans. Guess who was catching the ball deep? Mike Evans. I don't care that the defensive backs sold the offensive pass interference really well. I mean, they should get a Grammy for how well they sold that. Last year, Mike wasn't getting called for that as much. They were letting him play. And Mike also said in the postgame, the first time Robert Alford held him when he was running up the sideline, and the ref didn't call it, Mike didn't complain. Mike just thought the refs were going to let him play this night. You know what I mean? So, hey. And then you call him for it. It's just ridiculous. But, yeah, the state of this team, obviously we're pretty much playing spoiler to anybody. We got to play the Panthers. Still got to play the Saints. But none of these teams have locked up the playoff spot or the division spot yet. We can actually do a little bit of damage. What was I going to say? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. 1 second. I can't remember what I was going to say. But I don't want my team to lose. I don't care if we're 0-15. I want to win that last game. Nobody wants to watch your team lose. I don't care about our draft position. I'd rather watch my team win and us go out on a bad note than see just some no effort, I don't even know, no effort shit show. That's pretty much what it is. It's just crazy to think how the season went. I'm wondering if bringing back Mike Smith was the wrong thing. I mean, I just don't understand how this is all the same defensive pieces aside from Bradley McDougald, and Noah Spence is not really playing, but I mean, he was playing with one shoulder at the beginning of the year and all through the year, and he was playing with one shoulder last year too. Robert Ayers is aging. He's 32. Chris Baker's about 32. Gerald McCoy's getting banged up every year. Will Golston has the slowest get off of any defensive end I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I honestly don't think half of it's Mike Smith's fault. I mean, if you have other than the linebacking core, which is our most solid group, if you're not getting pressure, your DBs can't do much, and your DBs can't stay on your wide receivers forever. And if you are getting pressure, it seems like the coverage is soft. So I mean, it's been such a double-edged sword this year. I honestly, personally, I don't think Dirk Cutter is going to go into next year with the same mindset that he's had this year. I think he's gonna help either give up the play calling. That's what I honestly believe. I don't want to fire Dirk Cutter. I don't feel like Jameis going through another regime.
But yeah, back to Dirk Cutter.
I don't want him doing any of that. I think Dirk
will get it right.
Calling,
he will get
it seems
fixed.
to me that
Now about Mike Smith, I don't know.
Deep
Mike Smith's
levels,
just a defensive
routes,
coordinator. He could easily be the fall guy,
whatever you want to call it. Like he's not getting anybody into space. You can watch any decent offense in the league, and players are taking 5-yard gains and turning them into 25, 30, 45, or whatever touchdowns, just chunk plays. 20-plus yards, explosives. Dirk Cutter talks about explosive. That's all he said last year and the beginning of this year and blah, blah, blah. That's all he talks about, explosives. Well, this offense has not been explosive. I mean, they honestly, there was a stat that says the Bucs lead the league in 15-yard plays, which is crazy to me because we lead the league in 15-yard plays, but we don't score. It makes no sense to me. But I don't understand why we can't incorporate any drags, any slants, just anything to make the linebackers honest. It just seems like everything, like I said, is predictable. I mean, you can say what you want, but predictable is predictable. And if the fans can see it, the people getting paid $5 million a year can see it too. And if we get swept by the Saints and the Falcons and the Panthers, oh my God, 0-6 in our division after adding all this offensive talent, it just makes no sense to me. And you know what I really think the pressure is coming from? These coaches were getting 3 or 4 years all around the league to, really, really settle in. Mike Smith had trouble for a while. They gave him a while to, get things right. But I think the thing that's the most disappointing is you look across the league and you look at all these young quarterbacks. You got Doug Peterson with Carson Wentz. You got Sean McVay with Jared Goff. I mean, Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien. It's like you see just success all over the place. And, and exclude Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien. I don't really know what they got going on. Maybe they just have a special scheme and they'll get figured out. Who knows? But as far as the second-year players go, like I just mentioned, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, that's what gets Dirk Cutter fired, in my opinion. Carson Wentz, it looks like a whole nother quarterback. Jared Goff looks like a whole nother quarterback. And Sean McVay took the worst offense in the league and pretty much added Cooper Kupp and Gerald Everett and turned them into the number 1 offense in the league in scoring and yardage, but maybe besides the Patriots. Even if they're not number 1, they might be 2 or 3. That is crazy. If you say coaching doesn't matter, you are out of your mind. Coaching does matter. That's why I hate the, oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here, but I need to tell you what I talked to somebody about on Twitter. This guy said, John Gruden took Tony Dungy's team to the Super Bowl. Who cares? Anybody could have done that. Oh, and he took them to the Super Bowl against the Raiders, who he knew their whole playbook, which in my opinion is like, okay, we're fixing to face John Gruden in the Super Bowl. We need to do something a little bit more creative. Nope, they come in with the same old game plan. And what does he do? He shuts them down. That's how football works. But back to my original point. You can have all the ingredients in the world to make the most perfect food. But if you don't know how to cook and use it and put it together, and the next guy comes along and takes all your ingredients and makes the best meal ever, and yours tastes like shit, then you're going to be like, oh, well, I mean, I pretty much came up with everything. It's probably a bad example. That's probably a worse example. I could go back and edit this and delete it and come up with a better example. But I think you get my drift. I don't buy it. Now, back to what I was saying before, I got kind of sidetracked there. Seeing what Sean McVay is doing with Jared Goff and what Doug Peterson is doing with Carson Wentz, the Bucs fans are getting impatient with Jameis Winston. And honestly, I think Jameis has done better than both of them with far, far less and more in superior coaching. Not maybe from Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter's done a fine coaching job. his first year. This year, not so much. But I don't think it's enough to get him canned and out the door. I think Mike Smith takes the fall. You get a real defensive coordinator in here, someone who knows how to use this talent we have. And we do have talent. We do have talent. There's no way at the beginning of this year, if you looked at our roster, everyone would have been jumping on board if we didn't have talent. This just has been a really, really, really tough year. And the players have had tough years. Everybody aside from, I want to say, Levante David and Gerald McCoy, they haven't had a good year. Quan Alexander hasn't even had that good of a year. I mean, he was injured most of it, but every time I watch film, he's missing tackles. He's missing tackles more this year than I've ever seen him. It looks like, he doesn't look confident. I mean, people shake him out of his shoes almost every single play. But then again, he'll turn around and have 12, 14 tackles. He'll bat a pass. He'll do this, you know what I mean? But even he hasn't had that great of a year. All you need is to get someone in here that knows how to coach these guys right while they're still relatively young. Sorry. This has been pretty much a ranting podcast. I really don't want to fire Dirk Koetter. I don't. I mean, as much as I think that it's probably going to happen, what else is out there? There's not no Sean McVay's just sitting on the street corner. The Rams lucked out. They did. Sean's contract was up, and they snatched him up. Everybody was already saying that he was like a young Gruden, and it's looking to be that way. Now, if they sustain success all the way to going into next year, I'll really give him a pat on the back, applause or whatever. Give him a cookie, buy him a lollipop, however you want to do it. But what he's doing is great. I think Dirk Koetter can be just as good. He's been a play caller for a long time. 2015, when we had Doug Martin and Charles Sims, and rookie quarterback, we went 6-10, but we still had fifth best offense in the whole league. And now we have all these weapons. You're telling me we can't even have close to that? I don't believe it. And we arguably didn't even have that great of an offensive line then too. I mean, most of them were all rookies also. It's just been a very trying year. Very trying year. I'm wondering if we keep Ali Marpet at center too, because he's been playing quite well. I do miss him at right guard though. I do miss him at right guard. Now, the Bucs' obvious first-round pick should be defensive end. Cleveland Farrell, Bradley Chubb, whichever direction you want to go. I do think we need to get another running back in the later rounds. You don't have to get no one special, but I'm wondering if Charles Sims stays. I'm pretty sure his contract's up this year. I'm pretty sure, and if he's asking for too much money and he's pretty much just a role player, I mean, he comes in and makes some plays every now and again, but he's not a if your starter goes down, he's going to be your main guy type deal. He's not going to be your load carrier. Get somebody to split the touches with Peyton Barber, and he's still relatively young, and he's on a relatively cheap contract, very cheap, and he's playing well. You can't ask for better. But that's going to be it for this podcast. A little bit closer to Friday, we're going to try to do a Carolina preview show. But I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas if I don't get back on here before then. And I'll talk to you later.